Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, a tie in CD2. Also, Auburn opens an advanced lab in Huntsville. And Tommy Tuberville and Doug Jones are shooting it out over Social Security. Ooh, baby, I don't want to see that. That'd be the good, the bad, and the really ugly. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and the magnificent Josh Moon, investigative reporter and columnist at APR.
Hey, I'm magnificent. I like it. It's nice. I appreciate that.
We just can't find the other six magnificents.
Yeah, that's right. Magnificent Seven. Yeah, that's right.
But we're working on it.
Yeah.
So a political hot button issue. There's sort of a showdown at the OK Corral between Doug Jones and Senator Tommy Tuberville, both senators, who are discussing quite adamantly Social Security. Senator Tuberville took to the floor of the Senate a couple weeks ago to call Social Security a scam, a Ponzi scheme, and suggested that it be people should keep their money and it should not go into a government trust as it is right now. Now, rightfully so, Doug Jones has taken that up, Josh, as an issue, because there was a time in politics that talking about Social Security was the third rail of politics. You just didn't do it. It just didn't happen. But Mr. Tuberville thinks it is a time where people are ready to hear that message.
Yeah, I think he's probably regretting the presentation at this point, because I think it's caused him some problems with his base of voters, who are, majority of them are older folks. Either they're of Social Security age and already drawing a check, or they're getting really close to it. And those folks see that as a safety net that they've paid into most of their lives, and they are very protective of that safety net, especially older folks, because older folks remember it exactly like what you're talking about. They remember it as it being this hands-off thing you don't touch. It's one of the greatest things ever invented, to ever come about, because it saved millions and millions of elderly folks from being destitute in their later years. This has been a growing thing for a while about, if we took this and we invested it in the stock market, these people could make so much more money. I think that's too complicated for most folks.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's too complicated, and Doug Jones rightfully sees that, and they sees that as an opening to say, hey, look, this is going to be a problem for you over here, and not only you, but all you folks who are in the retirement systems of Alabama that's run by Dr. Bronner, and it's so great, and you're so happy with what he's done and how he's invested everything. He's probably going to privatize that as well. So he's made a leap that Tommy Tuberville never made, but still, it's in the political game. So you want to privatize one, you're probably going to privatize the other, and so
Right.
Here we are.
And you're right, Josh, and it's politics there at that point. But excuse me, the fact is that if you changed it over today, the government would have to put in trillions of dollars, because Social Security money is actually covered. I mean, even though it's always going to be insolvent, we hear that all the time. But the money that the government takes out is offered back in Treasury bills. So the government's still on the line for the money. They just have to raise taxes and fees and other things to pay for it, which nobody wants. But what are your thoughts and what are you hearing?
I mean, we've got 1.2 million Alabamians on Social Security currently. And anytime anybody talks about Social Security changing, especially people who are already receiving benefits, they get nervous. Of course they do. Why wouldn't they? This is something we've been relying on since FDR. Our parents were on it. Our grandparents were on it. Our great-grandparents were on it. It's something that's always, like John said, has been seen as a safety net for retirement years, so that you don't feel like you're going to not be able to feed yourself and your family in those years. And that really terrifies people when anybody starts talking about changes in that.
Right.
And investing it in the stock market, people, even for me, and I'm an investor, the stock market gets scary, okay? It's not as stable as Social Security, which is what people rely on. They want that stability and not have to worry about it.
And Senator Tuberville's right to say that you could make more money in the stock market, but again, there's that volatility that people are not comfortable with. The other thing is, when Doug Jones accused him of privatizing RSA, APR asked Senator Tuberville, and he said absolutely not, that it was actually a model for how the federal government should work. Now, many state retirement funds around the nation have been abject failures, Josh, because they haven't been run efficiently like Dr. Bronner has run the one here, and I doubt that they have many people in Washington, D.C. with the brilliance of Dr. Bronner.
There's very few people indeed with the brilliance of Dr. Bronner.
Yeah, you listen, you invest in golf courses, really, really nice golf courses and nice buildings and, the real estate markets. And look, he's been really, really good at it. Dr. Bronner has. And look, I would say it was nice clarification from Tuberville and his folks about what he wanted to do. I think, listen, we get caught up in the politics of this a lot, and rightfully so. It's what we do. But I think legitimately, those sorts of things scare the hell out of regular folks. Those folks who are in there and relying on that thing. This is not just a political issue to them. This is what they're relying on. This is their livelihood. And so when they hear these things, and I see them, and I follow some of their pages, and I talk to Dr. Bronner or his staff every now and then about what's going on. Those folks are serious about this. So this is a big issue for them. So I think that really it put them somewhat at ease. To hear that. I think that they're waiting to see some of the truth of it, depending on who gets elected. But I'll say, when you put that out there, when Tuberville put that out there, it became a really, really big issue for them over there. And I think Jones was right to jump on it from a political standpoint. But it has shaken a lot of folks, and I think it's made them take a real hard look at this. Well, and I know many people that watch the show will remember it, and many will not. But there was a push back during the Mike Hubbard era, what I like to call the era of the orgy of corruption in Alabama, where the legislature was trying to get control of the RSA so that they could do the kind of things that would have taken the money away from retirees. So there's a possible road to doing that, but Senator Tuberville has said he will not, and we're going to take him at his word, and there's no reason not to. Anyway, you're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your property is your home, your investment, and your legacy. Across the country, scammers are filing fraudulent deeds, often without the owner knowing until it's too late. REACT is a free alert system. If a document is filed using your name or tied to your property, you'll be notified within 24 hours.
Property fraud is a crime, and the faster we know it, the faster we can act.
Sign up today. Protect your property, protect your legacy.
You feel the wind before you see the truck.
Yeah, those big mirrors, they come closer than you think.
We're just trying to rebuild Alabama here, improve the roads and stay safe.
At the end of the day, we're just regular folks trying to do our jobs, rebuilding Alabama, and get home to our families.
We're working for you in Alabama's work zones. Help us get home. Drive safe, Alabama.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, there is a hot race down in Congressional District 2 between Republican Rhett Marquise and Shamari Figures. Now, we know because the gerrymandered maps will make it more difficult for Shamari Figure, who is the incumbent. And just to remind folks, just a few years ago, the maps were deemed by the Supreme Court to be illegal, racially gerrymandered. They came back this year and said, oh, no, they're not racially gerrymandered anymore because we've changed our minds, basically. You know, you've got a Supreme Court that would embarrass the folks that did Dred Scott and allowed Jim Crow. But that's where we are, right? So, Josh, a poll has come out. This is the first poll after the special election that shows them tied. Now, this is a DCCC poll, if I'm correct, but it doesn't mean it's lying. And we've seen all other polls that put this in the same bracket.
Yeah. I think we can safely say that this race is tied in that area. And I think that is. This is drawn the way that it is, would have been a Trump plus 14 or 15 district in the presidential election. So the fact that it's tied coming out of the gate tells you basically where we are right now. In that same poll, you also had Doug Jones up a bit on Tommy Tuberville. And so, it's you look, there has been a tremendous shift in the electorate, I would say. And I don't know, here's what I would say too. I don't know if this necessarily, because when you're polling, you try to account for the various demographics and what you know in previous elections. And so I don't know if this poll is accurately accounting for the Republican disinterest that we've seen in this race, in these elections, and the Democratic enthusiasm that has come about, particularly in these re-gerrymandered districts where voting rights has become a huge issue again because of what they have been able to do, because of the flip-flop on this thing where you called it racial gerrymandered and was just riding the hell out of the folks of Alabama for doing this thing and criticizing them left and right because they were such racists for doing it, and then came back 3 years later and said, oh, you know what? I bet that was just political. Don't worry about it. Y'all go ahead.
The same Supreme Court that ruled them illegal, Susan, ruled them legal, and Alabama fought like crazy to get this ruling out of the Supreme Court because they don't want there to be 2 congressional districts that have black representation. Now, in my mind, if you have 5 out of 7, don't you think white people are fairly represented? I mean, do you have to have everything? I mean, are you so damn greedy that you must run every district in the state without any opposition? I mean, come on, people, be decent.
How long you been living here?
My answer to that question is yes, they do have to control everything. But I think, like Josh says, people are fighting back. I mean, every poll we've seen, this one's 46 to 46. We've seen 45 to 40, 43 to 45, I think it was, something like that. They're all within, 4-point margin of error here. Yeah. So this race is really tight no matter what poll you look at. And I think it's people saying, listen, we don't agree with this. We're tired of being jerked around, and we're going to do something about it.
Well, and Josh, you brought it up, and I've heard it from Republicans and Democrats. If you look at what happened in the recent primaries, the turnout was abysmal overall, but it was mostly on the Republican side. The Democrats had a much higher percentage in the turnout than Republicans, which it just shows that it's just the very minimum of the base voting.
They have. And look, it shouldn't be tied. Let's be honest, it shouldn't be tied. There is nothing that the Republican candidate Rhett Marcus has offered up along with his fellow Republicans. There's nothing that they have offered to solve the affordability crisis that's going on, the health care crisis that's happening in this state. They've backed a president that has now got them in the war that he promised he was going to end. Look, there are endless things. You still don't have the Epstein files. It's an embarrassment every day that's coming down. And for the most part, people are struggling out here all the time, and they're hearing nothing but, hey, be scared of Muslims or whatever, as an answer. And so, the enthusiasm's way down, man.
I think something that we can all, both Republicans and Democrats, could agree on. Auburn University opened a one-of-a-kind state-run lab in Huntsville this past week, 50,000 square foot facility. Josh, you were there. This is going to revolutionize how we handle space travel, missile defense, and all types of things that have to do with space.
Well, yeah, I mean, leave it to the people at Auburn, to carry through and make everybody proud. Not like that other place over in the other side.
Oh, boy.
Come on
listen, listen, you called on me. Let me finish.
Surprised they wear a jersey.
I'm telling you.
Listen, if they send me one, I'll wear it, baby, because it's the finest university in the world. And look, this is Auburn University. It's a fantastic facility. All joking aside, it is a fantastic facility. It is cutting edge. It's the first testing facility of its type where they're going to test the radiation effects on equipment, the microscopic equipment that's used in space, and it's going to significantly aid us. The reason it's in Huntsville is because it's near Redstone Arsenal, where the missile defense is up here, U.S. missile defense. And so it is going to be utilized tremendously by those folks to be able to test that equipment and make sure that we can lighten the load and then have a better defense system if we get into conflicts, particularly if we continue to elect certain people. But our folks from Auburn are going to save us all, okay? No matter who y'all elect, the people from Auburn are going to save us all.
Susan, you got about 30 seconds.
Well, it's also going to, we're going to be able to help with the Space Development Agency, NASA, Space Command. When it gets here, the Army organizations, federal agencies. I mean, this is a big deal, and it's not only students in there working on this. You're also developing students that become employees of this same technology.
Right. And it is going to be, in other words, technology that will change the way we handle not only defense, but space travel.
Absolutely.
And many other things will come back for the benefit of
We'll
all
be talking
humans.
about this for a while.
All right.
War Eagle.
Roll Tide.
Yeah.
You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your property is your home, your investment, and your legacy. Across the country, scammers are filing fraudulent deeds, often without the owner knowing until it's too late. REACT is a free alert system. If a document is filed using your name or tied to your property, you'll be notified within 24 hours.
Property fraud is a crime, and the faster we know it, the faster we can act.
Sign up today. Protect your property, protect your legacy.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to The V, the voice of Alabama politics. An interesting study coming out of the University of Alabama Education Policy Center has shown, Susan, that the health and child care and childbirth in the Black Belt and in counties predominantly where Black Alabamians live is so much worse in its outcome than other counties. And this is part of having these hospital deserts, medical deserts, and all this. But we're seeing children and mothers being affected disproportionately because of their zip codes.
Right. Now, a lot of people think of the Black Belt as a small swath. This is 24 counties. Okay, we got 24 counties we're talking about here. And in those counties, 9.1 out of every 1,000 births ends in death of the mother or the child. Now, let's see, I've got some other statistics here where only 3 out of 24 Black Belt counties has a hospital providing obstetrics, where in comparison with other counties, they have like 23 to 43 in those areas. So, you know, the child care providers there in Lowndes County has no licensed child care centers in Lowndes County. So I think this is something, if you really want to get to work in Montgomery without some of this crap that they're shoving down voters' throats, this is something they need to be looking at. This is a desperate situation. This is a situation where we're going to have to address with something like expanded Medicaid. You know, we're going to have to do something here, or these people we're just going to let them die.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and compared to basically the rest of the state, it's 6.5 per 1,000. But Josh, I think this goes to a bigger question. If we are, in fact, a pro-life state, why are we abandoning mothers and children because of their zip code?
Well, I mean, I think we all know the answer to that. I mean, come on, we know the answer to this. We know the answer to this. Why? We know the answer here. We know what's happened here. We know why these communities that are predominantly black communities have been left out in the cold. We know why they're hospital deserts. They've been left out of everything. So that's why their sewer systems are still of the 18th century variety. And you know,
in their front yard.
Yeah, I'll say, KIV and the Department of Transportation under her watch has wanted to fix the Highway 43 corridor down there to make this, to bring some industry to this area. Will help bring industry to that area down there, and she should be congratulated for that. But she had to fight like hell everybody to do this,
Yeah.
and so that's the mindset. That's the way it's been. Look, if there were folks straight piping sewage in Mountain Brook, it would be fixed by Wednesday, okay?
Yeah.
Not 8 years from now. Wednesday it would be fixed, okay?
Yeah.
And that's the difference, okay? You can't look at this area down here and say you don't know what's happening. Oh, it's just an accident. Oh, well, what are those people doing? They have not been given the opportunities, and we know this. All right, we can backtrack it. I can give you 1,000 examples of how they've been skipped over and passed over and everything else. And the reason they don't have hospitals and stuff down there is because they're predominantly poor counties. And the reason that they're predominantly poor counties is because they're made up of former descendants of former slaves that had nothing when they started out. They had nothing to do with that. They didn't have the money, so they don't have the economic base, and nobody in government where they're underrepresented, just because we gerrymander the hell out of everything, they don't have anybody representing them to help bring industry into those places, okay?
Yeah.
They don't have a majority that's willing to work and get the industry down there, and that's the reason why you have these problems. And if you are pro-life, you better go down there and fix it.
Well, and a big portion of that, a big portion of Black Belt, and not just Black Belt, but a big portion of Black Belt is in CD2, where they have, I think Shamari Figures has worked hard to address.
Yeah, Shamari Figures and Terry Sewell. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
they've both worked very, very hard to try to fix those things there. But I mean, it's like Terry Sewell fighting the sewage issue down there. I mean, she's by herself. When has Gary Palmer, Robert Adderholt, Mike Rogers, anybody else, when have they brought this up? When have they ever brought this up? I'll tell you, the only Republican that I've heard talk about anything of this is Tommy Tuberville. I mean, and I don't want, he hasn't done anything, but I don't want, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to, it's just, when are you going to get on board and do some stuff at the federal level? Because that's where a lot of this help's going to have to come from, because the state people have washed their hands of this for generations, okay?
Yeah. And we're losing people, we're losing lives, we're losing children in a pro-life state. Our last topic today is along these same lines, and I think equally as important. Everybody knows that contrary to what comes out of Washington's mouth, groceries are up over the top. Our grocery bill, just for the two of us, is outrageous, and we grow most of our food. But right now, the Republican legislature, after 40 years of demands from Democrats, cut the sales tax on groceries.
The state sales tax.
State sales tax on groceries, but they also did this little tax holiday, which only lasted a couple of months and really didn't do a whole lot. But the Democrats are planning. And listen, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I've washed my hands pretty much of all these people because they don't do what they should do, right? But Susan, there is at least a plan coming back from the Democrats. And remember, the Republicans passed the cuts in this, but for 40 years, Democrats have been fighting. Even
John Knight is amazed to hear their newfound interest in cutting the sales tax. I got to tell you, man, banged his head on the wall for 20 years.
Even when Democrats were in charge, they wouldn't do this. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they took off the 2% tax there for a couple of months. So the average family spends $1,000, and in this study, the average family spends $1,000 a month, saved about $240 a month. But who can spend only $1,000 on groceries a month? I mean, realistically, at the prices they are at now. So they took a little holiday, kind of see what it'll do, and then they'll make a decision about whether they're going to continue to leave that tax off or not. And basically, the Democrats are saying, put up or shut up. You say you've got family values. Put up or shut up.
Well, there's going to have to be revenue to replace that because it goes back into the Education Trust Fund. Josh, I wish we could get to you. We have run out of time. These are important issues. Keep watching us. We cover them all. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.